Okay, super. Just making sure that we record for everybody who's not here in person today. So let's go ahead and get started. Just very quickly, we'd like to introduce, oh, Jessica's hopping in to open up our chat box. Thank you. We'd like to introduce ourselves to those of you who have not been here in the past, and also get a feel for who is out there. If you would like to either be unmuted or to type in the chat box, that would be terrific. So Kristen, would you like to start?
So hi, I'm Kristen Sievers-Kofer, and I work at the DOE in the Office of Special Education.
Super. And Jessica?
I'm Jessica Conrad. I am a patent specialist in the areas of AAC and early interventions, and I'm a speech language pathologist.
Yeah, and I'm Rachel Heron. I'm also a patent specialist, and I am a lifer in special education. I've been a classroom teacher. I've worked with assistive technology for quite some time now, but just happy to be servicing the state of Indiana and glad to be a part of these communication meetings because we find this so valuable. All right, here we go. All right, so just a few pictures of us. You'll have access to this website if you would like to be able to contact us. We have our Twitter accounts, our email accounts as well. And I just flipped out of, I'm sorry, definitely technical difficulties today. Presenter view. All right.
No worries.
Yeah, we'll get used to it. By the time we get used to it, we'll be back to the other. So right now, if you wouldn't mind typing in the chat box and letting us know where you come from and what you do. And if you would like to be unmuted just to tell us, that's absolutely great too. Would anybody like to go? Can you hear us? I'm having a hard time with these. These are saying that I can unmute. Oh, I see. So if anybody would like to be unmuted, just shoot me a text or.
But at least if you could just say your name and where you're from, if you could type that in, that would help us and we know everybody can hear us. Maybe we can type it in yours then. Can you hear us? Since I can't type it. You never saw mine, so I wonder. I'll be right back. If you guys want to go ahead, I will listen on my computer in the other room just to make sure we
that would be terrific. We just want to make sure that you can hear us, and I'm not sure that you can. So while Kristen heads into the other room to see what kind of technical difficulties we might be having, I just wanted to make you aware we did leave the definition of our COP, which is our. Oh, hello! Oh my gosh! It's in a completely different area. Super. All right. Ginger Barton from South Harrison Community School Corporation, essential skills teacher after my own heart. Super. And we have an SLP, Christy Meek from Columbus, Indiana. Super. And we have Stacy Parisi. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, from Seymour. Nice to see you as well. And then Kristen's here. Terrific. For some reason, it's showing up in a different area. So we are going to hopefully monitor this a little bit better since we know where it is now. Super.
We're just going to play musical chairs. Musical chairs.
Well, I'm really, really grateful that you are. Oh, can you put me in presenter? I can't get through. There we go. So we're really happy to have you here. And as promised, we have a little AT corner that we'd like to talk about today. Jessica's actually going to share a little bit about the communication matrix. And I'm going to slide back, and let her grab the ground so that she can talk to you a little bit.
So I'm really glad. So Stacy and Christy and Ginger, have you guys heard of or used the communication matrix at all? I'm going to bring up, this is what the end of it looks like. And the reason why I love showing this, even today, we had one of our teams in Lagodi reach out and contact us, and they were saying, we have had a lot of staff turnover, and we are interested in resources to help us with students that really are hard to assess when a good day looks like, we get really excited that, Christy's used it before, but Ginger hasn't.
Good.
Cool. A good day is when they orient to sound, and how in the world can we assess and figure out where we're supposed to start with communication for our students with really complex communication needs. So this is a free tool, and Christy, you've used it with a nonverbal student. So this is a great free tool for SLPs, teachers, and it even has like a parent component to it. It's been translated into many languages, so you can send it home. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. You get something that looks like this, and it goes through, and it kind of looks like a, what is it?
Periodic table.
Yeah, periodic table with all of these skills in there. And it goes from the top level, pre-intentional behavior, expressing discomfort, expressing comfort, interest in other people, all the way to refusing and rejecting something, requesting more. So certainly not for all our students needing AAC, but for our students with really early behaviors, or really trying to figure out where those emerging communication behaviors and intents are coming from. So we have, and then skills from refusing, obtaining, social, and information. And it's just a really nice way to figure out, because you can use this as an assessment tool frequently to help monitor progress as well. So I'll show you really quick what it looks like when you're assessing. So if you're updating a student, and it'll prompt you with questions, and it's for the most part yes or no, or you're rating something that might have multiple answers to it. So for example, this first question, this individual doesn't seem to have real control over their body yet. Let's say that this individual has passed that stage. They have some control over their body. And this individual has control over their own behavior, but they don't use them to try to communicate to me. So let's say that's a yes. It'll go through and then prompt with video. So some of these questions might be really hard to understand what it is that we mean when an individual doesn't want something. So they'll have brief 20-second clips about what does protesting look like for a child with complex communication needs. So that's a really excellent example of what protesting looks like. Does your student do that? And you would select yes, and you would go through this. And I would say it takes about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, maybe a little longer for a parent, but not very long for a staff member that's familiar with the student.
So do you recommend that both parents and staff do it and you compare the two then?
If you can get that done, yes, absolutely. Yeah. And there's a part where they can go online and do it themselves, or you can print it off too and send it home, and they can just go through and check. But I like the online version because you get to see the videos, and some of the language that's used in the test or the assessment may not be, it makes a lot more sense when you see that video of the kid.
I thought it's really helpful to see that. Yeah, for sure.
And then when you're using this as a progress monitoring tool, it keeps track of where you were before, so you can move it up or down depending on where the student is. And then, let me exit out of this. You don't have to do the whole thing all at once. But in the end, you get a report that looks like this, going through not used, emerging, mastered, and surpassed. So you can kind of see where the student is and maybe where you want to focus your interventions. The assessment is free, and this chart that comes out is free. But if you wanted to go into a very nicely worded assessment with paragraphs and such, you do have to pay some money for that, but it's pretty reasonable. And the other thing that it will generate for you is a skills list of communication, which is also nice to send home with parents and share with team members, so you can see where all that information is coming from.
From a non-SLP viewpoint, this just seems really, really clear and organized in a way that really a layperson could go through and figure it out, which I really like.
So yeah, that's the communication matrix. It's communicationmatrix.org. I'll stick that in there. The other nice thing about this website, it is run out of, I forget what university, but there is a community within it that has a lot of really great evidence-based topics and information from a lot of really great people out in the AAC world. And they respond really readily to questions and comments, and they're always looking to improve the assessment. So great. Really great website. Even if you're thinking that you're not going to be assessing with this, it's still a really great resource. So that is our AT Corner.
Super. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Feel free to, type into, now that we can see where your questions are, feel free to type in, and, if you have something that you'd like to say, we can definitely figure out how to unmute you quickly.
Any questions about that?
Yeah.
Or Jessica?
Mm-hmm.
We got Mary.
Oh, we have some new people. Mary Coy, where are you from, Mary? Do you mind typing in?
Stacy. Yeah, we met Stacy.
Fantastic. We'll let her type in whenever she wants to. Nothing like hearing your name called out in the middle of a presentation. Good. So thanks for sharing. Yeah, absolutely. That's great. What I really like about having Jessica on our team is that she has practically used all of these different tools and definitely has some good guidelines on what might be good for a myriad of different things. So,
and definitely, kind of what this morning at Lagodi, we were talking about assessments. And if you get to that point in an assessment, or that you're going to be assessing a student, we're thinking about goal writing for a student, reach out to us. We have a lot of really great ideas and can certainly point you in the right direction.
Right.
Yeah, very true.
All right, super. So we can go ahead and thank you. All right, so we like to have just a little time to talk about upcoming trainings and opportunities. We've listed last month, if you were here, I left the LAMP training and the PECS training at Clark Middle School in St. John, Indiana, and then respectively in Indianapolis on here because we haven't hit them yet. Those are definite pay trainings. So, they aren't free trainings that are around. And elsewhere, there is a new training that popped up for Men Speak, not Mind Speak, as I was trying to call it earlier. Again, there's that SLP thing. But Pittsburgh has a language seminar series, which is also something that you can pay for. But then I also like to search and seek out things that are free. And when I was first getting into a little more of the AAC angle of all of this, the language courses from the AAC Institute are really good, and they're free. I think there are 5 different sessions that you can take. Do you know? There's an introductory course, and then there's several other courses that you can take, and they're free, and you can do them in your own time when you need to do them, which I know is very important to me to be able to do that on my own timeline. So definitely something worth checking out. So those are those resources that you might be able to use. And of course, I would be amiss to not draw attention to the patents training. We definitely, Jessica and I are from the patents team, and we have free trainings throughout the months. This is a link to the calendar that we kind of went through in more detail on our last trip. If you have any questions about this, or you would like for us to take you through this individually, we are super happy to do that.
I wanted to add the central region, we had their COP a few weeks ago, and they had mentioned there was a training that they saw that they wanted to know if we could do it again. Absolutely. The answer is always yes. So if you have a group that you would love to have a patents person come down or set up a web training, we would love to come down and set up one tailored to what your school needs.
Right. I think that I just returned from a training, a national training, and I was pretty impressed with the fact that in Indiana, the way that it's set up is that there are so many free resources that are given to our state, which I wish I would have taken advantage of more of them when I was in the classroom. So definitely, as Jessica said, we can tailor make that to whatever you need to happen. And if we aren't people who are the experts in the area that you need, we can definitely point you in the direction of somebody who is.
And please share that link with other folks in your building. And it can be gen ed folks too. It doesn't always have to be special ed.
Absolutely. That's thank you. Another great point is that we also focus on universal design for learning and the education of every child across the state. You do not have to have an IEP or a 504 plan to have our services. So there's our tiny little plug for what we do. But thank you for bringing that up. So, do any of you have upcoming opportunities in your area that you would like to share with the other people in your region? We'll give you a second to type those in if there's anything that's coming up. If you think of any opportunities that you know of that are either free or paid, but might be beneficial, the purpose of this regional, the reason why we're grouping together with regions is so that you have each other as resources and you have good ideas that you can share amongst yourselves, because there's, Indiana's a big state when it comes to trying to get information spread out. So we like it to be broken down this way. But if there are opportunities that you come up with, please feel free to put them in the chat box while we're moving through, and we will make sure that those are shared out again.
And if your district is offering something, but it wouldn't cost more for the neighbor next door to come over to a district nearby, if those teachers could come over, why not share those resources if possible?
Absolutely. We always like a good twofer.
Exactly.
Okay, so does anybody have a reason to celebrate? Some districts shared some pretty cool things that they were doing as we were hosting these last month, and we like to celebrate with you. So if you have a student that has been successful with a communication in the classroom, or you figured something out that you'd like to share, we'd love to celebrate with you.
And it does not have to be something huge. It
No.
can be the tiniest little thing. Like I tried something for the first time and I had success.
This is Mary's first webinar. I found a way to communicate. Haha.
Woo! We're so glad you're with us, and I wish I was in Bloomington. I love that place. Oh, that's a good way. It's a good reason to celebrate. All right. Does anybody else have anything you'd like to share?
Can I share an update from that video I shared last week?
Yes, yeah, please.
So that classroom that they were using the Pixons project, and this little boy had a lot of behavior. So another school district, a neighboring school district, copied what that school district did, and we did a training in beginning of August, so before school started, and then I came in a few weeks ago just to see how things were going, and that classroom is transformed. Like,
really?
They had so many behavior issues, and they even had typical peers in there that were using that AAC system because they needed it. And it was just amazing. Every staff member was like, this has changed how we approach things.
Oh my gosh,
low tech,
low tech.
It wasn't even something complicated.
No.
Oh my gosh. And if you weren't here for the last meeting and you would like to look back and see what she's talking about, please join the Facebook page. We posted that little blurb from what she's talking about for her AT share the last time. And on top of that, we will be posting this on the Patton's website as well, so that you can kind of look back. And again, if you want this service in your school corporation, please talk to Jessica.
Stacy said, finally got a 6th grade student to be interested using a communication device and not turn it off by playing hide and seek. Now she walks around the room seeking out the device to request playing more.
Oh, that's exciting. Stacy, thank you so much for sharing that. Wow, that engagement piece, that buy-in piece is huge, and you are being innovative. I love the hide and seek idea. That's really, really cool.
And possibly peers will see that, and then they'll think, oh, hey, maybe I can do things or
participate and interact. Very cool. Thanks for sharing, Stacy. Does anybody else have anything you'd like to celebrate right now?
I think we should go back to that school and get some video.
I know.
See that,
You're always the big video person.
I love
you want to see it,
I
right?
go
Got a
everywhere.
whole bunch of parent sign-ups for that.
Oh,
Yeah. The parent sign-up is always important. All right. If you have anything to celebrate, please feel free to pop that in anytime that we're on here today. That's important. Thank you. All right, so in the same vein, accessible educational materials. We wanted to give anybody who was working on accessible educational materials in the school a chance to shout out for anything that you're doing at this point. This is a huge push around our state to make sure that kids get materials in a timely fashion and that they are able to participate at the same time as their non-disabled peers with any type of materials that are out there. So has anybody made any strides?
And can I add in this? Because as an SLP, I always felt like this wasn't something that was my job, which was incorrect, let's say that. So I thought it was really interesting that I finally had a physical therapist point out to me, kids who can't physically turn that page, they need to be accessing accessible educational materials. They need to have that written into their IEP.
Yeah.
And that was something that, oh, I never thought of that. I bet there's a lot of BTs and OTs that never thought about making sure that they were looking at that area in the IEP.
Right, right.
This includes our kids with no observable communication. They need to have their educational materials accessible.
Absolutely.
Are any of the AIM districts that Pattons are working with from the Southeast region?
Yeah, is there anybody who's participating in the AIM grant this year?
Southeast.
And I don't know if everybody realizes that Pattons works with 8, is it, districts each year on accessible educational materials. And so if you don't know anything about this, it'd be great to check the Pattons website or email for a little bit more information, and hopefully you can get your district involved with it next year.
Yeah, for sure. I'm currently working with a school in Evansville, and half of our team are SLPs. And so I really, really think that, you know, that all-in-one group response to this is exactly what we need to be thinking about. All right.
And then also wrapped up into that grant is a communication component where you can have students evaluated and see if maybe we could provide a communication package for that student. So
very, very cool.
It's a really great opportunity if your district is in a position of needing growth in this area.
Yeah.
You get a lot of helpful.
And who isn't?
Yeah, right. What teachers don't want free things for their students that will change their lives?
Yeah, and it really, again, runs the gamut of all kinds of kids. From that.
That's so true. All right, so this is a shared resource from this is from the Northeast district that we work with, but we would be sadly mistaken if we did not pass it along. These are YouTube videos that the Bluffton Harrison MSD Schools Corporation has employees have created to help address core words and words of the week and how they use them. And they've assured me that they have several videos up, but they're creating them as we go. I found it to be a really good resource and a really, really cool to see these video. Jessica's going to pop it up for us. Yep.
Where's the one where like Ninja Turtles show up?
Oh, Ninja Turtles. There it is.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh. So it's super engaging. Go through showing the word.
It says, help. Excuse me, I need help. Please, quick. I can help.
Oh, this way. Help me.
Isn't that fantastic? The school has really gone, out on a wire to make these cool videos and
again involving everybody.
Yes, and we cleared it with them. We said, "Can we show these to other groups to be able to use?" And they were thrilled to think about their videos being shared. So definitely a shared resource. If you have a shared resource that you would like to share, I keep on sounding like some type of and wait, that's not all. If you have but if you have a resource that you would like to share, we not only would like to share that within the region, but if you have something that you'd like to share with the rest of the state, this is definitely the place to let us know, so that we can help you get the word out for what you've been working hard on. I feel like a lot of times we do a lot of work and then, that doesn't necessarily go all of the places that we wish in our minds that it would go. So here to help. All right, super. Any questions, anything that you'd like to share up until this point? Would anybody like to be unmuted to speak? I'm sure we can figure it out. All right, super. Then we'll go ahead and move on. All right, so in the last meeting that we had, we were asking for feedback for things that your school corporations would like to know more about. And one of the things was one of the school corporations expressed that it was really hard for them to find the funds to send items back to the lending library through patents. As you know, they'll send items out to you, but when your time period is up, then historically school corporations have been responsible for being able to pay the packaging or to find a patents member and to send that back with them. And you have been heard. I was just given the word this week that patents will offer return shipping on items borrowed. All of those details and logistics will be shared soon, so I can't give you specifics at this point, but I'm just really proud that the communication meeting that we had, though it was small but mighty the last time, was able to come up with something that was directly answered very quickly.
Yes.
So you will have the opportunity to send items back.
So similar to that, if there's other things you think you need or want that aren't available, you just have to mention it and we can try and work around it like we did with this. So.
Yep, absolutely. We'd like to be the mouthpieces for you. So. And also, one of the other things that was brought up was how can I help students with limited interests, bag of tricks for OGCOM needs? And, I'm hopping back here to the 6th grade student that Stacy brought up, finding that little buy-in, that hide and go seek. But one of the SLPs that I spoke with likes to use YouTube music on her iPhone to gather interest, and she works on the words on, off, or more with her students when using that. She also mentioned focus on aided language stimulation for the staff members as well. And her words of advice from the top when I spoke to her were, jump in without an expectation that the kiddo will respond. And I think that that's one of the biggest things for us is that we get really tied up on that back and forth with the student. And, who knows what processing is like or what's inside that we haven't unlocked. And so really our attitudes need to be that, you need to just jump in and do it, whether you think that there's going to be a response or not. Every kiddo is given that respect. So those were some of the responses. And then one of the things that I thought was really, really cool. Oh, and actually, Jessica, would you like to share?
So two of the things that were in my bag of tricks was,
and I didn't put it in. It's actually here. Yep.
Okay, so simple switch games. So even our students that don't necessarily need switch games, maybe they're on the autism spectrum and motor-wise, they can access lots of games, but it's just too much for them, or they just need a lot of very limited motor load. These are all games from shinylearning.co.uk, and they're adult appropriate. Not a whole lot of like teddy bears or anything in this, but they are just very simple, easy ways to embed some basic vocabulary into. So and you can get this. A lot of these will work on iPads, and you can set it up.
Do you mind grabbing that address and popping it in the
And then the other one, Tar Heel Reader has a lot of accessible books, but they came out with accessible a game setup that, again, it's Switch accessible. You can play Temple Run. You can play Michael Jackson videos. I mean, you can put anything that is a YouTube video. You can do that. So that's two of the ways that I really like to think about that. So again, it may be Switch accessible, but it's not just for people who need Switch access. A lot of it's just really good input.
Yep.
And then again, establishing lots of opportunities. So that was one of the other links I sent.
I put it on another page, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. So this one we'll send in. One of the things that I found when I do my observations is it's not that people aren't thinking of ways to get kids to communicate or not thinking of good vocabulary, but it's mostly limited to snack time and calendar time. And if snack time and calendar time are your only two opportunities and those aren't motivating, then you're kind of stuck. So this, it's from Dynavox. It's part of the DAG2, which is another great assessment piece. If you haven't used that, has lots of great ideas for measurable language goals with AAC.
Maybe we'll do an AT corner on that.
Yeah, maybe we need to do that too. But it's a really, really good resource if you don't want to reinvent the wheel on measurable goals. But it gives you an idea of just trying to think of, okay, what are all the activities that are going on in this student's life, and priority as far as it being motivating, important, frustrating, or socially significant. So you're focusing on more than just snack time and calendar time. So it helps you and the team kind of go through and like, okay, who are the communication partners? Where's our relevant vocabulary? Do we need to create any more vocabulary within the system that we're already using? And then thinking about novel activities like brand new things, a field trip or a community outing that doesn't happen all the time. Where can we make sure that we're focusing our energy and providing more opportunities?
Mm-hmm.
So get out of that requesting for snack time rut.
Yep. All right. And one of the other things that was given to us is a really cool idea. I know I love this too. I actually just bought hex bugs for a friend of mine for her son for his birthday because I thought they were really cool. And I never thought about the fact that you could use those for that kind of buy-in and stimulation for kiddos. So you can get them at Amazon, at Target. Do any of you know about these little hex bugs? The little robots that move and they have vibration to them. And, you know, I asked her, do you use them with switch access? And she said, you probably could turn them into switch toys, but really she liked to work with the ideas of go and stop with the bugs. You know, start high with an iPad app and then have, you know, most of your buttons hidden and then just do go and stop and to allow them to have that little, you know, hex bug crawling around. And there's all sorts of different kinds. I think that's the scarab that I popped on there, but they have lots and lots of different kinds of hex bugs, and they're pretty reasonably priced, I think, for what might be in your tool bag. Does anybody else have an idea to share with each other or questions about any of the ones that we've had?
Usually, like, I love hearing the ideas of like, it worked. I mean, you just stumble upon it.
Yeah.
Like, hex bugs. I've never.
Who would have
tried
thought?
that.
Yeah.
I just saw the shiny colors, you know, in the toy aisle, and I thought that was pretty amazing. Anything in your, you know, when I worked in Chicago, I was paired up with an SLP who carried this duck around, and I think it was just magical. Like the thing was ridiculous. It would quack and walk, and we don't know what mystical powers it held, but I felt like it was one of those things that anytime that duck appeared, we knew that that kid was going to start interacting with it. Yeah, just a little. Oh, love the hex bug, says
You have to
Ginger.
go shopping.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's so many on the market that I think you could definitely find something for the greater good of the kids. So terrific. All right, anybody else have something magical in your bag of tricks that you'd like to share?
It could be simple, something small.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
We love the simple, small things.
I know.
They're less likely to mess up.
To break, to not be able to be purchased.
Yeah.
All right, we will keep an eye up for this as we go. All right, so topics to discuss. Like I said, you had a pretty small little group the last time. So what I do is I will go back. Actually, we all go back through the dialogue that occurred in these meetings, and we pull out things that you felt were important to talk about. And three of the things that were not pulled out of this group, but a region that was similar to yours, were practical options for giving students with moderate and severe disabilities opportunities to communicate, which is where that link is embedded.
Oh, yeah.
What are some ways in which one can evaluate for switch use, seeing if the student can understand the cause and effect meaning behind switch use, and how to work better as a team, which I think is part of the journey, is figuring out how that classroom dynamic works and how everybody works together to make sure that you're maximizing for the most for your kiddos. So I know this is a lot of text, and I'd like to apologize. I prefer pictures here and there. But some suggestions that were given back about the moderate and severe disability opportunities is that their whole day should be language-based. And in essence, I think that that's what Jessica was talking about, where we've kind of narrowed that down sometimes to snack time because we know food is sometimes motivating. And, you know, that but those opportunities should be there embedded throughout the day. So making choices regarding your lunch options, participating in a language-rich activity, and pre-vocational tasks. Was there anything else that you wanted to share with that? That might have been your Sherry.
There
Jenny.
is, I'm going to have to grab the website later, but probably share it to your community. There is a really great, I love seeing pictures of classrooms, how they're actually using it. And there is a school in Florida, and they do all of these standard-based activities for students with severe and profound disabilities. So how do you talk about, the weather with students with severe and profound disabilities? How do you engage them in all this vocabulary and provide, multiple means of representation and all that? I'll share that link. And so every week they're posting pictures of what they're
I'd
doing in
love
the
to see
classroom,
that.
and it's
Yeah.
so cool. And it gets your, language mind reeling. Like, oh yeah, we can embed, we can take a umbrella and put a bunch of weather stuff around it and put it over the student and talk about the wind, and the wind moves things, and providing that
That'd be
multiple
cool.
means, and they show how that relates to their version of content connectors. So
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So throwing it back out to you, practical options. Oh, yeah, right? So Ginger said she appreciates these ideas and that her kiddo is just learning yes and no.
And that's
Yeah,
huge.
It is big. That opens up a whole world.
Yeah. Especially when you think, there's multiple types of yes/no questions.
Mhm.
And if you can get yes/no down, you've got a whole world opened up to you suddenly.
Absolutely. And respecting the no.
Yeah.
Yes. Man, I tell you what, the empowerment of being able to say no and be listened to is huge. So super. Sounds good. Does anybody else have any ways that you embed that language throughout the day, or the way that that's worked in your classrooms?
I think another piece of it, I know a lot of SLPs don't write lesson plans, but really thinking about beforehand creating systems or creating things that you don't have to spend a whole lot of time into pictures and spending 3 hours trying to laminate everything. If you can think of ways that are already created for you, so you're not recreating the wheel.
Yeah.
That's really huge.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So if you think of any, again, pop them up on the screen, or, get us to unmute you. It's very quiet, I realize, and the reason why it's quiet is because you're all muted. Someday we're going to get this format worked out to more of a discussion, but I really appreciate you typing in. Oh, Jessica's messing around with it now. You might become unmuted.
We're going to try this.
Yeah, try it.
No, that didn't work.
I know. I felt like I was clicking around on that bad boy earlier. I think if you do it individually, it might work. Oh, Stacy's been unmuted.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to mute you. Okay, we're unmuting people.
Oh, here's the real time.
Yeah.
Quick, return to your computers. Yeah, we might not be able to.
Okay,
we might not be able to do it. Oh well, one of these days we're going to find out a format that really works for some good discussion. Okay, so another huge issue that other school corporations brought up were, how can you evaluate for switch use? And I thought it was cute because Jessica's response was, well, you just look and you see if they did it. But I understand the need for a more formal tracking system of how you know that works or not. So one of our team members suggested that Apps for Stages wiki, spaces.com, which basically, kind of moving through a PowerPoint. Did I not get it embedded in there? Oh, there we go. He was talking about a PowerPoint and forwarding through a PowerPoint using, switches and
lots of app suggestions, which I think is really, really helpful. And this is one of those things, if you are looking for one of the groups, it might not have been you guys, we were talking about apps, and then something that will communicate with your iPad so you can make it switch accessible, or settings that you can turn your iPad into something switch accessible. But definitely talk to our librarians, because some switches work with some apps and not others. So just because it's a switch accessible app doesn't mean that it's accessible.
That's a good point.
There was a Ginger.
Oh, I'm just working on choices using yes or no, choices for fun learning activities, choices for snack and lunch, choices for fun activities. So embedding it throughout. Absolutely. Just giving the opportunity. And if they don't respond, at least you gave them that input and that option.
Yeah. Did anybody have any questions for Ginger about what she's doing? She's putting it forward here, and I like to hear these.
It'll be
suggestions.
interesting to see when she applies it to the academics, how it works out there.
Yeah. All right, super. So if you have any questions, please say, for Ginger, I'd like to know, and we'll make sure that it gets in there. Also, just thoughts about how to work better as a team.
Can I show?
Yeah, please. Back up. Is it not in? Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably not embedded. So another piece of this, if you're wanting something a little more rigid, there is, and this comes out of research from Sean Bean and Linda Burkhart, and this is the switch progression map. Like when you start with that experimental learning, like, okay, they've kind of figured out if they hit the switch, the music turns on or the pig starts oinking or whatever it is, but where do we go on from there so they're able to start communicating with this switch? It goes through, and this is a very brief intro of going through and failure-free choosing and choosing the right one and independently accessing. But if you go to Linda Burkhart or Ian Bean's websites, they have lots of information about how do you do that with eye gaze, how do you do that with one-step scanning. Lots of information related to that because it is, we get a lot of students that are stuck on that make the pig oink for 3 years, and that's not appropriate. That should be a 2-minute thing, not a 3-year thing.
Yeah. We'll make sure that these are embedded when you get this PowerPoint so that you'll be able to click on the links. All right, so back to the how do you work better as a team? And I think that, from what I'm seeing from where you're coming from, you probably have some really good suggestions yourself of how this could work. But one of our coworkers was talking about being in the classroom and how when the SLP would come in for language group, he would participate instead of leaving, which I think is big, and I think that that's hard because we all know that breaks are very few and far between, especially if you're in an essential skills classroom. You're forgoing a lot of those prep times and a lot of those times that, naturally built in for lots of different reasons, even if it's just your own. But being able to support her, and then she was able to sometimes let him take the lead and she would support him, definitely was that co-teaching approach, which I think is really important when you're working together as a team. So are there ways that you've gotten that to work in your classroom where you have been able to build some capacity between yourself and the people who are coming in?
I think that language lesson thing I always felt was my worst therapy lesson, but my best PD time. It was really for the adults. Like the kids got something out of it, right? It was really for all the adults to see a different technique.
Yeah. Again, we would love to hear from you when it comes to that. So if you have anything that you would like to give, I don't think that you ever, I think that that's part of the beauty and the hard part of special education is that, just when you get things working and you figure out this gorgeous system of how everybody interacts, something's going to change. Somebody will be reassigned to another classroom or, there'll be a little turnover or, however that happens. So I feel like it's a constantly evolving piece of art, where you're trying to figure out how everybody dances together. I'm using a lot of different analogies here, but how everybody dances in this square dance together. Maybe square dance. Yeah.
The school that I was referencing that their entire school just took this over the Pixon's project, the low tech AAC. When they trained, all their assistants were there too. And that's huge. So huge. Yeah. So even if the teacher wasn't there, that they all knew exactly what was supposed to be doing. And the data piece was shared between the SLP and the teachers and the aides. So even though it may not have been the same type of data that the SLP took, the assistants are hashtagging and hash marking.
Hashtagging.
And, they're responsible for the data. And so they're looking at, what the students are doing with that set of eyes of oh, there's a new opportunity. Oh my gosh, they put 2 words together and they never did that before.
Yeah.
And applying it to things that they consider, theirs.
Yeah.
And if you're teaching, you don't have the time to notice all those. So it's great that the aides then can catch maybe the things that you can't.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Bringing that perspective to the table. Okay, super. All right. So much like last time, if you participated, are there any specific student cases that you would like to discuss? Anything that you'd like to bring to the table, something that's challenging in your area, or whether it's successful?
We can throw out ideas amongst ourselves, or we can start looking for some things for next time. So we aren't looking for all the answers on this. Just talk about something that's been a little of a struggle for you.
And some good ones in the other group.
Yeah.
So things that just make you say,
Yeah.
They're doing all the things they should be doing,
Yeah.
but you're like, oh, that
Ah,
didn't
why is
work.
this not
Oh, that
working?
didn't work.
It's
Yeah.
that pesky thing called individuals. You're working with very, very different children. So one thing isn't going to necessarily work for everybody, you know? Anybody have anything?
And this is one of the reasons why we wanted to do these groups, so that we could talk to each other. I mean, we're happy to come and chat with you and show you all these different things, but we wanted it to be, you know, by the people, for the people kind of thing, where everybody gets a chance. So you're not just sitting and getting, as you often do with many webinars, not that that's the worst thing, but in this case, we were hoping that more people would maybe participate. So I know a bunch of you are first timers, but we'd love for more people to say what's happening out there.
Absolutely. And even if now that doesn't automatically bring something to mind, I would also encourage you to contact us on Facebook. You know, we have a Facebook page for the Southeast region. So if you could message, or you can email any of us, and we can definitely field your questions and bring some things back to the table. Or at the end of this, there'll be a little Bitly survey about things that you took away, but also things that you'd like to see as topics coming up. And that's definitely what we pulled from to try to make sure that these were more relevant for your areas. So is there anything out there? Anybody want to be unmuted? We can attempt that roller coaster again.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we'll let you brainstorm some ideas, and we'll throw some things out on the Facebook page.
Yeah,
and
it's a great place.
Yeah, definitely we can come together and have more to discuss during that time period. So if there are no further questions or discussions that you'd like to have, we are happy to discuss anything that you'd like to talk about.
Yeah,
God.
God.
All right. For the previous student, I was able to use yes/no buttons to access iStar. He really could show what he knew. With this new student, yes/no buttons are not working. He does not know how to turn off the computer. Does know how to turn off the computer though. So even though I have been able to get choices for preferences from him, I cannot get anything for iStar.
Oh my gosh, that is a huge challenge. Right.
So the yes/no buttons are not working for him.
Does anybody else have a student like this? Let's dip into the regional pool for a minute, because I feel like this cannot be a standalone case for a kid who suddenly is not able to show those choices for preference.
Ginger, does he have any other type of response, like a hand gesture or any facial movement? For yes, no? While she's typing that, I saw something really cool at a pod training about teaching kids how to nod and shake, and having two buttons, one that says yes and one that says no, and positioning them on either side.
So you can show that a little bit more.
So having two buttons, I don't know, I'm trying to
use your
two iPhones, and one that says yes and one that says no, and placing it on either side so the kid learns to use the head movement, and then you fade it away, and then it's a more functional yes/no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. No, just pushing the computer away. He does not want to do it.
Well, he's definitely letting you know his no. That's definitely a positive move.
So even with the most wonderful thing in the world, he won't say yes. Huh?
Yeah.
Like you said, you've got the no.
I love scenarios like this, and I think this would be a really good one to throw out to our team across the state to see if anybody has had a student like this, and this can be one of our topics that we pull back.
And we have two buttons, one for yes and one for no.
Yeah.
Trying to think. So with the computer, he can push it away, he can turn it off.
Yeah.
So he knows what the situation is. Sounds like he knows. This is testing time. This is not snack time or leisure time.
Right.
But has he said yes on things? So like you said, do you want to snack? Has there been a yes that is a legitimate yes? Or is this, you do that for yes or no? how do you know it's really a no?
So I guess the question is this a situational?
She said,
We have a button for yes and a button.
oh, I thought it was a new one. He's just not interested. Yeah, I think it's a great scenario to think about. You know, it's funny because being in one of the, you're in one of the first groups that happens each month when we do this. You're actually the first meeting that we host. And when this has happened in the past, we've thrown these scenarios out to every other team to get feedback. So sometimes you'll find that, you know, the Northwest region suggested blank, blank, blank with something that you've said. So we actually do throw these out to other people. Oh, there we go.
It's just not interested. I think the computer screen is too abstract.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
You have to remind me. Does it come in paper? Like as
You
an
can.
option?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
So-
can request it in paper. That would help.
Learning activities for him are hands-on.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Might be pushing a medium that's too much.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or just too stimulating even.
Yeah.
Having that bright screen.
Yeah. Have they worked on doing anything with the computer screen that would make it appear to be a little bit different, like changing the contrast or the dimness or the
Turn
brightness?
off the lights in the room, maybe.
Yeah.
Or face away from the computer. I don't know if it's a oral learner.
Yeah.
And so you could just read it to
Yeah.
him, and if that would work or not.
We've been having it up on a projector screen. So
Mhm.
it's just very large and there's no buttons for him to turn it off. He
Right.
just needs to give his
that's
yes or
true.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Use a whiteboard and stuff.
Mhm.
I guess I'd also say start, and maybe you already have data on this too, of when the yeses and nos versus a refusal, and it's not like there's really you just want more information.
That is frustrating when you know that he can do a lot when it's that hands-on component that she's having him do, but
Yeah.
the test it's not a hands-on type of test.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think this is definitely one we're going to be throwing out.
We're going to throw this out. We're going to throw this all around the state of Indiana.
But that's why we're doing this group. So
Yeah.
I could try color contrast. Wish iStar was animated. It would make it more interesting for all of us in that
Oh.
engagement piece.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Be
That's
more
huge.
animated.
Yeah. I like that suggestion.
We can tell Karen Stein.
Yeah, I was going to say, we know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody.
Talk to Questar. Add that to the contract.
All right.
Or we could get Elmo to say it. Have you guys, okay, before we leave, I got to show you this. No, where's Elmo?
Oh,
Where is he? Somebody's
in a
stolen
cabinet?
him. I have.
Is he crawling around?
He might be in the trunk of my car. So I have.
Oh, he's banging on the top of it.
Let
There
it
is
out.
a animated Elmo that you can borrow from Patton's, and I have one in my car that I take with to preschools. But you can set him up with the iPad and make him say all these phrases, and he'll even like say your name. So you program it with Rachel, and like, Rachel, did you wash your hands today?
Yes, I did.
Super engaging. Color.
That would be
Oh, color pictures. Yeah. I like that. If we can't have Elmo regurgitating the entirety of the answer, maybe color pictures would help. Yeah, I like that suggestion. Yeah. Well, we'll definitely throw this scenario out to the other teams
Thanks,
and see
Ginger.
if Ginger, we really appreciate your suggestions and communication here. This is really terrific. So we'll throw it out to the other teams. And just to give you a little bit of a heads up, because we are getting close to spring break season, I know I probably shouldn't even say that to you in January, we have discussed, having a meeting March 6th and making that kind of the meeting for the next period of time. And then we'll talk more about how frequently we would like to continue to have these. But Jessica just put your bit.ly in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, if you are a Facebook person, please feel free to check the Facebook page. I accept all of you who come along to be a part of that closed-in community. And if you would like to get PGP points for today's meeting, please. She just
Like
put the
3-4 questions, easy.
It's super easy. It's really what we look at to see what your takeaways were and how we can shape these meetings to be the most relevant for you. So if you wouldn't mind filling that out, it's helpful to us, and then you also get your points. So
and that Facebook group, if you have coworkers that can never make this time, add them to the Facebook group because they are going to get information that way. That's how we got hooked up with a few of our school districts that, just have later releases and can't make it.
yeah, absolutely.
Maybe rotate, each of you take a different turn listening in and telling everybody how it went.
Yeah.
That'll get more people to be on.
And of course, you can also always listen to these
That's true.
recorded. And we like to just put anything today. Kristen posted the most amazing.
That
it
was
just
the best. You got to look on the Facebook page for
You
that.
do.
On NBC
I'm
News.
so teary watching this, and we like to put anything that kind of touches us. So definitely stay tuned for that, and feel free to post things too that make you feel, words that you would like to get out. All right.
My PGP request form just disappeared.
What?
Let's
try.
Hold on 1 minute.
Try it
This is the
again.
normal one. We're gonna try one more time. Try it again, Ginger, and then email one of us.
Yeah, if you don't get it, we
Yeah.
will send you a direct link. It's been kind of funny with this, and if you try to type it in, it's all very cap sensitive. So it has been
Oh, okay.
it's been
That's good to
interesting.
know.
Yeah. Well, thank you again today for your time. Never hesitate to email us. And matter of fact, I will. Oh, yeah. Make sure just look back in your communication box. But this is Jessica's email. jconrad at CIESC K12INUS. Whoops. Oh, I'm flipping away.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, I can't.
Oh.
And then I'm Rachel Heron. So R Heron at CIESC K12INUS. And then Kristen.
Although those guys are going to know way more than I do, so you're welcome to email, but unfortunately I may have to send it along.
You can send the joke of the day or
I do video clips.
video clips. She needs video clips.
I'm a video clip girl.
She is. She kind of has her hand in everything. So these are our communications. If you would like to reach out to us for anything that had to do with this meeting or anything you would like otherwise. And thank you so much for taking the time today to
Yes,
participate
thank
with us.
you.
We really appreciate it. All right. Have a great afternoon. And thank you, Ginger, for all of your awesome input
Yeah.
today. That was very,
That
very
helped
cool.
a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.